everybody. Welcome to the Pennsylvania Horse Racing Commission meeting. Thank you for being here. Good to see the attendance today. We've got a full agenda. You'll note marketing updates as part of our presentations here. To look forward to those. We have hard copies I see being distributed, and some I'm sure will be via oral presentations or electronic. But thank you all for being here. Let's do a quick round of introductions. Mike, if you don't mind, please, we'll start with you and work around.
Mike Lebo, Administrative Officer for the Horse Racing Commission.
Maria Curran, Counsel.
George Augusto, Counsel.
Sal Gabunda, Commissioner. Russell Jones, Commissioner. John Legro, Commissioner.
Tom Ellis, Commissioner. Tom Chukas, Thoroughbred Bureau Director.
Russell Redding, Secretary and Chair.
Standardbred Bureau Director.
Corinne Sweetie, Commissioner.
Michelle Redding, Commissioner.
Ed Rogers, Commissioner.
Harold Brenizer, Commissioner.
Again, thank you all for being here, and welcome to each. We can say thanks to the commissioners for your service and commission as well. We'll call the meeting to order. Please note that the meeting was duly advertised in accordance with the Sunshine Law. By way of further notice, the commission conducted an executive session this morning to discuss personnel matters and engage in attorney-client privilege communication. No agency action was taken. So with that, let us move into the approval of minutes. Commissioners, you have the May 28th meeting minutes before you. So we have a motion, Commissioner Bunda. Dr. Egloff on the second. Any discussion of the minutes? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Presentations. Tracy, we'll begin with the financial report for May. Double check it. You've got to pull it right in. You have to use your budget office voice.
Good afternoon, Secretary and Commissioners. Starting off with the racing fund balance for May 31st. The beginning balance was $8.4 million. There was revenue of $1.8 million, expenditures of $3.1 million, leaving an ending balance of $7 million. Moving on to the commission. Revenue for the month of May was $834,000. Personnel was $635,000. Operating was $119,000, bringing total expenditures to $754,000.
Last month we approved some charges for computers and
Testing.
Are they in testing?
They're in testing.
Are they in the reports we're going to see today?
No.
Okay, so that's going to be adjusted.
Hopefully in June. This is for May, so hopefully in June.
So that this really, right now, we're basically, as I see it, under $4 million excess at this point. We're going in this one for the Racing Commission, going into June. Yeah, but
When you say $4
11
million, you're talking ending cash balance, or you're just talking?
I'm talking about $11 million versus 7.5 million. That's it. That's the budget.
Right.
Fiscal is only less than $6 million. So we're talking about $5 million that maybe we're ahead at this point going into the last month of the
Yes.
fiscal year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to testing. Revenue was $975,000. Personnel was $622,000. Operating was $745,000, bringing total expenditures to $1,367,000. Now you refer to money that was approved for UPenn. That budget adjustment went through. It's been approved. However, UPenn has not yet invoiced for it. And they need to invoice here in the next couple of days. I just talked to Tom about that this
on the limb system, it was 390,000. Just to support what Tracy had.
200,000, if I recall.
No. I spoke to UPenn actually yesterday and then again this morning. I'm anticipating the invoices will come in this week.
So besides the normal expenses, that will also impact this.
Correct.
Everybody's following the questions and the correct responses, right? Everybody understands what we're talking about? Ed, please.
Yes, my question is, we're on the cash basis. Really doesn't, really doesn't matter when the invoices come in. It comes in, it's when they get paid, and
Okay.
I can't imagine.
No, Ed, remember that's quasi-cash. So as soon as they're put into the system,
Okay,
they're showing as an expenditure. So as long as UPenn gets them in here, and they get entered by Friday, they will reduce the cash balance.
thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to promotion. No revenue for the month of May, but there was a little over $1 million in expenditures. Then moving on to the comparative commission and testing costs. Basically, we're probably pretty much zero between, a 0% between this year and last year for revenue. Personnel's up about 6%, and operating is down at this point about 11%, but overall the total expenditures comparing from last year to this year is pretty much even.
So Tracy, just for everyone's benefit, the cost to operate the labs, right? Total cost to operate the labs is how much?
Are you talking just
Just for the testing, we call it testing, what's the total
for
cost?
UPenn? Or okay, UPenn, other specialized service line is just UPenn. So at this point this year, we spent $2.4 million. They have, and that's, there again, that's invoices that came in this year, the last state fiscal year. Right now, today, they have about $1.3 million encumbered that they can spend yet this year. And that's as of today, so, but we do anticipate a large amount of invoices coming in for them. And that's one of the large variances that you're seeing there, is the UPenn at this point.
So that would, even though it shows pretty much even at this point, that would dramatically change the comparison among.
And there again, it's because there was an effort made this year to keep them current with invoicing. So when they invoiced last year, they were told to stay more current this year. So we expected there to be a bigger amount spent this year on them.
Okay. Anything else on the financials? No?
Any other questions?
Any further questions on the May financials? Okay, if not, entertain a motion to approve the May financial report, please.
Some of second.
Commissioner Ellis on the motion, and Commissioner DeBundo on the second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the May financial report, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Tracy.
Okay, the commission at the previous meeting had requested the entities that received grant money to come forward today and basically make a short presentation, identify the money, identify what they spent it on, what was the good, the bad, the ugly, and kind of where they're going in the future. And that's what's going to happen. What I would suggest is if we go back a year or so, just real briefly, and understand that the mission is obviously to position the Commonwealth as a national leader in equine racing in breeding industries, and that's kind of the vision of what was kind of laid out on the marketing money. You can get into some things about increasing awareness, educate the public on just exactly how racing affects the economy and how important it is. We talked about a statewide branding campaign for the industry, a statewide industry website. Obviously, there were other things, increasing the handle, increasing the attendance, promoting events, delve into social media. These were the things that we talked about a year ago when we were deciding how to spend the money. And hopefully the groups that have spent the money will today share with you exactly those items. So let's start with Mr. Bellezzi and the PTHA. Bruce, Bruce, you're going to have a handout?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, Chair.
Give you a second.
You all should have received a handout for your reading pleasure. On behalf of the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association, Mike Bellezzi, who's behind me, I want to thank you for allowing us to talk with you, Secretary Redding and Commissioners. I'm going to say something just kind of briefly and then turn it over to our marketing partners.
Yeah, we'll need the introductions just for the stenographer as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Bruce Casella. I work with the Pennsylvania Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association.
My name is Jim Thomas. I work with Baldini Communications. My name is Mike Baldini. I'm the president of Baldini Communications.
Okay. In my opinion, Parks has a lot to promote to the public. Our business practices check all the boxes. But it goes deeper than just what takes place on the racetrack. Our horses are safe, as they can be, with the newly accreditation by the NTRA Safety and Integrity Alliance. That took place as we were accredited for the very first time. We have a Turning for Home program that is second to none around the country. Of course, that helps transition our horses into second careers after their racing careers are over. Our trainers are being taken care of with health care and pensions. New programs like Pony Up to help our workers who suffer from addiction. That happens in the backstretch of Parks. The opportunity there for jobs is abundant as we have created job awareness through our Leg Up mentoring program. That started taking place this year. As a result, our credibility at Parks Racing is sound when the media comes to question us, especially for what is going on around the country at other racetracks. We can say at Parks that we back it up. So with that, our boxes are checked, and there's always more that we can do. We feel confident that sending a message to the public that racing at Parks is fun, it's exciting, and safe for our horses and for our jockeys. In my opinion, horse racing at Parks is as good as it's ever been. With that, I want you to please welcome Mike Baldini of Baldini Communications and Jim Thomas.
Thank you, Bruce. Good afternoon, everyone. We're completing our second full year working with PTHA and have a very strong partnership with our host track, which is Joe Wilson and the folks at Parks Racing. So one of the things we tried to do 2 years ago when we first started working together was to sit down with Joe and his team and understand what their needs were. Bruce has cited a number of things that are operational or accreditation in nature. Our job was to do some of the things that were alluded to at the beginning of this meeting, which were to build awareness, to help increase the audience, to increase the fan base, and also tell people the story of horse racing in the state of Pennsylvania. One of the things we did last year is that we launched a website. We launched a number of social media channels. We really believe the cliche that content is king. If you look at this low technical poster that's here, which is a version of a billboard that we have a number of different items that we've implied from a content standpoint, not only for the hardcore racing fan, but to someone who may be new to horse racing, someone who doesn't yet understand the charts or understand the sport. So what we did was we went out and recruited a number of contributors, individuals who were formerly aligned with the large newspaper in the city of Philadelphia and made them contributors. We also got our track announcer to do a daily video feature that we post on social media. So we've done a number of different things. Largely, we've tried to stay in constant contact with Joe Wilson and his team at Parks Racing. And we're going to talk about the future at the end of our presentation. We will be brief, but I'm excited to tell everyone, if you don't know, that the PTHA, Parks Racing, and the Pennsylvania Horse Racing Commission are going to be bringing Smarty Jones back to Parks Racing on Labor Day. Welcoming him back with a hero's welcome. He's a great human interest story in the state of Pennsylvania, the city of Philadelphia. He's a true champion, and we're very excited that on Smarty Jones Day, Labor Day, we're going to have Smarty Jones back. We partner with a local television station, and we're going to be broadcasting 3 races that day on television, in the Philadelphia market. It'll also be online. So our mix last year was a little bit more web-centric because we were building out the websites, but we didn't have for the first time. This year we implemented some new strategies. We applied out-of-home advertising. We have a number of billboards on I-95, one of which is directly across from the sports stadium exit. So the sports stadium exit in Philadelphia, where all the stadiums reside, there's a billboard there that promotes the PTHA and promotes Parks Racing. It's also where we're promoting Smarty Jones right now. And then we have a couple of other boards which are closer to the track. So out of home is a bigger part of our mix this year. We continue to do television and radio. We have a number of personalities in the local Philadelphia media that are out doing live broadcasts or making personal appearances. The social media channels, we've been able to continue to add followers. As you know, the synchronicity between who is in social media and who engages in social media and the typical horse racing customer is not perfect, but we've been able to show some great gains that way. We also believe events are strong. Aside from Smarty Jones, we partner with the track on a big event. We partner with the Bucks County Tour of Honor, which is a veterans organization in the state of Pennsylvania. It's in Bucks County, where with the casino and the racetrack, we send busloads of military veterans down to Washington, D.C. to visit the monuments down there, and then when they come back, we have a big dinner for them. We're also in the process of finalizing a college initiative where we're going to actually have college mascots on the racetrack, checking all the liability boxes, where they're going to have an actual a race where mascots will be in costume and will be racing, and we'll be donating money to different scholarship funds through those colleges. So affinity groups like the veterans, college mascots are very important to us, and we continue to listen to our partner at Parks Racing, Joe Wilson, and his team there. We're also constantly creating content. We have a jockey, and you probably know in the last, 6 weeks, Bruce, Scott Lake at the track won his 6,000th race. He's a trainer. He won his 6,000th race, and we were able to get some local media. In addition to that, right before the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont, which are big days for us at Parks Racing, we were on local news in a public affairs capacity, talking about the agricultural and the economic benefits of horse racing, not just the fact that there was a big race and that we were going to have a lot of people at the track that day. So our mix has been broadcast, digital marketing, public relations, events, and again, for the first time this year, out of home. I'm going to let Jim Thomas talk a little bit specifically about the social media, and then we'll bring this to a close.
Very briefly, we decided...
Mr. Mike.
This year on our social media, we decided to target those who are between the ages of 18 and 49, those who are relatively easy driving distance away from Parks Racing, and those who are new to the track. We tried to bring some new people into the sport to get some new blood. Our messaging is centered around bringing groups of friends, groups of co-workers, family members out to the track for some day-long racing or some family fun. And we really acknowledge that we're really up against other entertainment options, so we tried to show people that we're a great alternative. We focused heavily on the economic impact of racing, showing how it brings and how it impacts almost all Pennsylvanians. We broke that down into tiny little information nuggets and repeated those over and over during our social media. Our messages were very seldom, if ever, technical in nature. They were very plain spoken, very much trying to get that new person to come out to the track. We also featured those in the backstretch as often as possible and put a human face to racing. And they were among some of our most widely read and widely shared posts. By far, as Mike mentioned, our most heavily response we received were to anything Smarty Jones did. And with the 15th anniversary of Smarty coming up, we're heavily capitalizing on that. To give you an example, we could post something about someone working in the backstretch, a nice little story about them. They get hundreds, if not, approaching 1,000 likes and shares. Something with Smarty Jones could get 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. He's still a big star. And so we're going to ride our star for the balance of the year leading up to Smarty Jones Day, which Mike touched on will be broadcasted live on PHL 17. It'll give us a great deal of exposure across the Delaware Valley. And we're also going to be making arrangements to do some additional PR on that. We've got other sports outlets to pick up that, race that day, the outcome that day, the events that day, to spread a good positive message on both parks and racing in general.
One other thing in addition to, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we have a national broadcast that NBC is going to come in and do for 1 hour from 5 to 6 on Smarty Jones Day this year. That's going to give us a lot of notoriety. And I'm sure that we'll get a lot of local media out because of that. So that's going to be national, Smarty, the grade $1 million Smarty Jones, Cotillion Stakes and the grade $1 million Pennsylvania Derby.
That's actually on Derby Day, not Smarty Jones Day. Smarty Jones will be on local television for 2 hours, broadcasting 3 races. And then, as Bruce said, it was a long time in coming, but NBC nationally, the network, will be covering the Cotillion Stakes and the Pennsylvania Derby. So we'll be live on national television on that day, which is it 9/22? What's the text?
Yes.
Right. So, these 2 races, as you know, they became, we started with $2 million races a few years ago, but there's great validation that NBC nationally is going to be covering that. In the past, what we've done is NBC, the regional sports networks have picked it up, but now we're going to be actually on the network, which is really great for us. So just in closing, some of the future things, I mean, we know that this is very much a work in progress, but we believe that by working directly with the track and Joe Wilson and his team and all the folks at PTHA, we're constantly mining for other ways, other ideas in which we can engage people about the sport. I mean, what we find, probably like most tracks, is on the bigger days, we try and lean into the bigger days. It's hard to promote that Monday through Thursday, although we are letting people know about it, but we tend to get mass amounts of people on the bigger days. So we're expecting a great day for Smarty Jones, also a great day for the Pennsylvania Derby, and also always open to some of these affinity groups, to Jim's point, where we can bring multiple amounts of people in, rather than just trying to market one at a time. So if there are any further questions, we appreciate the opportunity and we're open for questions.
Questions or comments?
I have 2 questions. One is that you didn't mention the match series. So you're going to coordinate what's happening on Smarty Jones Day.
Yeah, we're going to show 2 match day match races.
Explain to them what's involved with the match series.
Yeah, there's the Mid-Atlantic area. There are several racetracks involved. We're going to have 4 of those races on Smarty Jones Day, and we've been doing some marketing with that as well. Where other racetracks will be focusing on our racetrack as we focus on theirs when they do their match races. So we're going to broadcast live 2 of those races, the Smarty Jones Stakes and probably the Turf Monster Stakes on Labor Day Monday.
The last question I have is the important one. It showed that you've got an amount of funds slightly under $300,000 this current year. Are you on budgets to spend all of that, or do you
We'll actually be.
to know whether you're spending the money we gave you?
Yeah, we are slightly under that right now. I like to keep a little in reserve. I don't want to get caught up, especially we don't have the exact number for this fiscal year. But yes, we're spending that money with a little bit of reserve because like I said, I don't want to run short. So we'll be presenting a budget for, which would be the new year, fiscal year for the state of Pennsylvania, but will be the calendar year's third and fourth quarter.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, I ran a little longer.
Thanks, Bruce. Mike, thanks. Jim. The next group to present would be the MSOA, Kim Hankins and Jen Neely. Hey, Mike. Sorry.
He leaves us behind everything. It's part of the marketing game.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Kim Hankins, Executive Director of the Meadows Standardbred Racing. With me today to make the presentation is Jen Neely of Neely Enterprises, who is our contract marketing expert to use for the state marketing.
Good afternoon, everyone. If I could ask you to please get out the marketing report that I provided to you today from the Meadows Standardbred Owners Association, I would appreciate that. I think I told you the last time that I addressed the submission that I'm a storyteller by trade, former TV news reporter who got into marketing and communications. And so when we sit down to tell the story of the MSOA, what's really important is that we look at the numbers. We really take business analytics seriously. And we make sure every marketing decision we make comes from the data that we collect from the people who engage in our advertising. The bottom line is Pittsburgh sports fans are most likely to engage with racing. Well-promoted events obviously draw new audiences, and engaging fan experience really has an impact on handle, and industry-wide visibility, earned media, all are growing our following on social. Well-known races, and I want to particularly comment on the PHRA initiatives that have really impacted our outcomes. If you could look to the next page, I wanted to really make sure you see what's happening in Pittsburgh. We are an official partner of the Pittsburgh Penguins. The better the Pens do, the better we do. You see us on the leaderboards. You see us all throughout the games, the game coverage, and that's because we found that their demographic most closely matches the demographic most interested in harness racing in the Pittsburgh area. If you flip to the next page, I think it's important to know that building a brand really starts from the inside out, right? If you see all those green shirts, we celebrated St. Patrick's Day at the Pens game. It was Meadows Racing Night at the Pittsburgh Penguins game. We handed out a racing calendar, we gave out free t-shirts, we had a really great following from MSOA members. We love seeing them in green there, and I think it turned out to be a great night. If you flip to the next page, we look a little bit at event-based marketing. The Food Truck Festival was awesome. I was in a carb-induced coma at the Food Truck Festival because there was so much food there, but there was also a lot of wagering going on. Between the Food Truck Festival and the experience that we bring to the table, teaching people how to wager and having a family fun night, we saw our handle and export, both on and off track, increase about 8% just because of that big race night. We also promote things like leader dog races, and we celebrate the Triple Crown at the Meadows Racetrack, and it's really had some great results for us. If you flip to the next page, the PHRA gave us a great opportunity to advertise on Equibase. So we did a bunch of digital ads, and that'll happen all throughout July to make sure that we're promoting the adios, which is great. I really commend Kim for having the idea to make sure that we have a hired media relations specialist on staff all the time. You know, we're constantly battling the bad headlines, but isn't it great that we have someone who's committed to the MSOA and Evan Paddock, who's constantly putting out great stories about what's happening at the track. And then you infuse that energy from the youth. Someone like Donna Locke, who is the Director of Marketing for MSOA, she's constantly live on social, creating great content and engaging new audiences. If you flip to the next page, I'm going to tell you fan experience is unparalleled at the Meadows Racetrack. Between the Food Truck Festival and other events, those nights we typically see a 10 to 15% increase in handle, which is great. The next page talks about big races having a big impact. So where do we spend the money that you give us, and how do we make those decisions? Well, if you look at the Kentucky Derby on NBC, you saw a whopping 20% increase from last year's Derby broadcast in terms of viewership. So how do we get on or near Derby Day coverage to get that general interest more focused on Washington County? So we did spend some of the money that you gave us in getting on or around that Kentucky Derby Day coverage, and we do see a halo effect. In fact, we were really excited to see that the first 2 weeks of May, our handle was up 21%. In the next page, I just give you a quick look back at the budget so that every year you can see exactly how we spent the marketing dollars that you allocated to us. I really want to thank you for that opportunity because you've infused energy and dollars behind a strategy that we're really proud of. So over the last year, you saw us on the Fan Radio Network. We did local radio and regional radio, the Triple Brown broadcast, and AT&T Sportsnet. But beyond that, like I said, we're looking at Penn's partnerships, animated digital ads, all kinds of website and multiple events. If you flip to the next page, I just kind of wanted to give you a number. Like, what does that money get you, right? What does that money get you? 56 digital and social ads, 16 radio commercials, 14 electronic billboards, 10 TV commercials, 8 print ads, 4 program ads, and it goes on and on. So I tried to help you understand, like, Q1 of this year versus Q1 of last year. The numbers just aren't true because we had the quarantine, right? So what I had to do is take you back to 2017 Q1 so that you could really see the comparison. So when you see that, February numbers are up 235%, I wish we could pat ourselves on the back for that, but that's simply because we weren't racing last February. So I compared it instead to 2017, so you can see what it looks like. The Q1 handle, very positive, 2-year over 2-year. So the Q2 handle is what we're looking at now, and we look at it is exactly comparable to last year's handle. But we have a couple of great events and some really nice racing days left in June, so we're hoping to knock it out of the park for Q2. Our forward strategy is meadowsharnessracing.com. We built a beautiful website. We kind of fashioned it after Vegas.com, right? Going after the younger audience and trying to bring people to our site, and it's going well. The next thing I just wanted to show you a little shout out to a lot of the team members who you will see their names and their faces. With the Night of Champions, the Dan Patch Awards, we had a great night for our Meadows Racing. It was fantastic, and we were happy that we had so many honorees that night. The last page of your presentation, on the top left, you see Kim accepting an award from the Washington County Historical Society. So it was really nice to see that our own creator of the Adios Pace for the Orchids was inducted into the Washington County Hall of Fame. That was great exposure to the community, and we had a nice table there, a nice showing from MSOA, which was great. That's a picture of our packed stands whenever we have a nice day combined with a nice event. Moving forward, I did have to sneak in a picture of my little girls there on the left-hand side. They're definitely enjoying family fun nights, and they are so excited to be near the horses. We also have some great out-of-home. We're looking at mobile advertising and continuing to expand that. As you know, gambling becomes more prevalent in the areas around Pittsburgh. So there's like a mini casino coming to the 60-mile radius of the Meadows. So we have to stay relevant, we have to stay in front of consumers, and that's what we're doing. And finally, I just want to call out the Driver Charity Challenge, sponsored by the PHRA. Shades and Ashley, again, that young vibe, the energy, coming out to Pittsburgh this week. We paired 10 drivers with 10 charities. Everybody gets a table of 10, so that's 100 new people exposed to racing, and the winningest driver takes home a check for their charity. So thanks again for the opportunity. We're really excited and energized about it, and we hope you are too.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks, Kim. Questions from the commission?
Kim, how do you deal with the food truck?
Quite well. I stayed home.
Any other questions? Thank you.
I'd just like to add one thing. When she mentioned the meadowsracing.com, we have MSOA, PMSOA as our website, which takes
For members, yeah.
for our members and for horses. This one is specifically for fan-based and to generate more interest in horse racing. So we spent the money for that to make sure that we're doing the social media thing right.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Next up is the PAHBPA. Todd, Stu, please.
Good afternoon, I'm Todd Moschdaler. I'm the
Executive Director of Pennsylvania PHBA, and the last name is spelled MOSTOLLER, as opposed to what the agenda said. Stu's been here before. Stu's who we've consulted with to handle our marketing promotion from the HBPA and from the racetrack standpoint of both Prescott and National. So I'll turn it over to Stu.
Hey, thank you, Todd. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stu Kirschenbaum. I'm owner and executive producer of Keystone Films. For the first time here without a professional broadcaster on it, so I'm trying to muddle through that at once. In looking back over the past fiscal year, our ongoing work with the HBPA, we try to assess ourselves really through two main criteria. What we're doing, number one, putting families in seats, and putting dollars through the betting windows, particularly on big race days. Number two, are we communicating the truth to the general public regarding how well cared for and how loved these horses are, both during and after their racing careers? And I know this is supposed to be brief, so let me simply mention a few highlights. Beginning with last September's Prescott Masters, we branded the Prescott Masters as the premier Breeders' Cup prep race. That's how we marketed it. Now, throughout the meet, we had a significant broadcast advertising presence, both locally and nationally. Plus, there was digital advertising during the course of the meet, with an emphasis nationally on the weeks leading up to the Masters. In the end, the 2018 Prescott meet was its most successful ever, and Prescott Masters Day was their first ever $2 million handle day. In 2019, we built our relationships with the ABC and NBC stations in Erie, partly because of those relationships. This year's opening day received quite a bit of earned media locally, so I'm going to show you a couple of videos. The first one is going to be video number one, which will be a little sample of what happened at Prescott on opening day.
Tonight marks the start of another season of live horse racing at Prescott Downs Casino. Hi everyone, we are live from Prescott Downs. They are set for racing for the 2019 season.
People are already here gathered behind me. You can see people enjoying their beer and their hot dogs.
Of course, you cultivate our family nights. Dollar Smith hot dogs, it was fantastic. Kids love it.
Rain or shine, the community will head to the dance for a new and exciting season of racing.
Joining me now is the Director of Marketing, Jennifer C. First race already in the books. What does this night mean to the Prescott Downs Casino team?
Well, it is a lot of hard work to bring all of this to fruition, so for us, it's kind of like a celebration. And the horse that I was betting on just won Ricky's Girl Run, and my night is me.
We have a 20-cent pick six, which last year paid in excess of $40,000 for a 20-cent bet. So there's a lot of money to be made here. Jockey Ronnie Allen getting ready to ride the 5th and 6th race. Man, what's it like to get back in the saddle?
It's great to be here. I love Erie surface. This is a great track to run at, nice and safe.
This track has gotten a lot of publicity and a lot of good things said about it because of the surface and how safe it is with the horses.
It's probably one of the safest tracks in the nation.
Trainers say the track is safe and well-maintained, rain or shine, which is their most important factor. There will be a total of 8 races this evening, and we'll have more for you at 6 o'clock. Back to you, the studio.
We're excited to have us at Prescott Downs Casino. Thanks, Aiden.
So that's just, believe it or not, a brief example of some of the earned media we received at Prescott on opening night because of the relationships that we've been able to build up there. Just taking a top-line look at some of the things we did over the past few months to grow the 10 Mile. One is we're Channel 8's official Triple Crown sponsor. So what that means is that apart from commercials leading into, during, the out of all 3 races, we also received 30-second spots that were produced by NBC Sports promoting each race. And at the beginning, at the end of each commercial, there's a promo for Penn National. These commercials ran 20 times each in the week, leading up to each of the 3 races, mainly in prime time, and during weekend sports telecasts like the National Hockey League. The net reach of these promos is translated into over 530,000 adults, 25 to 64. On Channel 8, the net reach of the Derby and Preakness combined meant over 120,000 adults saw our 10-mile commercial on those races. We also received time with the Hearst M Stream, which is Channel 8's OTT delivery service, over the top delivery service. In the month of May, this meant our 10-mile commercial played more than 51,000 times with folks in the Harrisburg market watching through a streaming service. 96% of that viewership came from those watching it's certainly a reasonable thing. There are families watching TV, friends watching TV. So we certainly had more than 51,000 people who saw that 10-mile commercial through that method. We also placed the 10-mile ad on TVG and on Steve Dick's satellite radio show. Fortunately, this generated earned media with both of these outlets. Channel 21, Channel 27 also gave us terrific coverage in the days leading up to the 10-mile. So Kyle figured out play video number 2, some of our earned media from this year's 10-mile.
What a fantastic day of racing out at Penn National on Saturday, highlighted by the Grade 2 Penn Mile, $500,000 on the line.
You know, this has got to be one of the best slates that's come together, and it's a great hybrid between the match series and state-bred action and the big Grade 2.
When we sat down last year from a match series standpoint, we're trying to put together a big day at Penn National. One of the major changes in the match was to run all 4 races that at each venue, but obviously the Grade 2 Penn Mile is the showcase event. It's going to be an incredible card. We're hopefully that's the biggest day ever at Penn National.
This is the paddock right here. We have Eric Johnson, the guy's been here for a little while. You've seen some big days of races. What makes this the biggest?
It's the money. We're going to give away a little $1.3 million over the 8 states races tomorrow, so it's our #1 biggest day of the year, and we'll have some really great horses here at the city.
And it must be very exciting there at Penn National to have all these high-powered barns shipping in for not only your feature race, but a lot of the big money undercard races.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of planning that went into this card, and the racing office did a good job, and we're happy to have top connection ship in.
Well, we have trainer Aaron McClellan with us right now. Aaron, how excited are you for this weekend? It's the biggest one of the year, $500,000 purse for the big race. You're in the race just before that. How are you feeling right now?
We're super excited. We're really excited. It's always nice when you get people to come out and feature Penn National.
It's a great card, promises to be a great evening of racing at Penn National. Todd, thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy the day.
All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate your time. We always appreciate the support you guys give us. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
So shifting over now to some of our digital outreach, we've been using native advertising, geofencing, behavioral targeting, retargeting, and our handouts, one for the HBPA logo, the ones that you have. I'll give you a glimpse at some of that. From April 1st through May 10th, we served banner ads, which said Pennsylvania doing right by the horses. From May 10th through June 1st, the banner ad switched. It's an animated 2-sided banner ad. It switched to an ad promoting the Penn Mile. All of this pushed traffic to the HBPA website. We're funding folks to the HBPA website. We built a horse safety page there. It has a news article, it has all sorts of video content. Folks, if you haven't been there yet, if you would, enter in front of your computer, PAHBPA.com. The top right has a number of links. Just click on safety, it'll take you right there. So apart from that, there's also a page we built specifically to promote the Penn Mile. Now, starting in April, when we launched these digital campaigns, monthly traffic to the HBPA site has grown 40-fold. So some results, and this actually covers the period from April 1st to June 12th. We generated 1,491,000 impressions just through our native advertising. We've generated a total of 3,755,000 impressions through all of our digital strategies. Our combined CTR, click-through rate, 3 times national average for this sort of advertising, so we're certainly pleased with that as well. And we'll run a bigger version of these digital campaigns in the 3 or 4 weeks again, the Presidential Masters. So in the end, much as we at Keystone Films played a small role in the growth of last year's Presidential Masters, we're also proud to play a small role in Penn Mile Day, being the second biggest handled day in Penn National's history. Now, you asked us to address what did not work, and look back at the past fiscal year, the Penn Racing Club would be our biggest disappointment. We hope to create something like the Churchill Downs Racing Club, perhaps some type of racing club that was just announced in New York. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Our plans going forward, expanding upon what's working. We believe our marketing and our advertising is helping drive handle on big race days. Unfortunately, the trash events over these past 6 months, the ongoing trash events these past 6 months, I haven't seen Anita, have resulted in virtually all horse racing stakeholders being unfairly painted with a very broad brush. So we believe it's imperative to continue to speak to both the public here in Pennsylvania and to the racing industry. this up by talking about our ongoing messaging, which we are very, very pleased and fortunate to have Dr. Patty Hogan narrating for us. So Dr. Hogan narrates our 30-second commercials for both Penn National and Tile Downs. I played those for you a couple like that. Dr. Hogan also narrates a video that I produced about horse health and safety. I'll show that to you last time I was here. And that's a key part of that safety page I mentioned a minute ago we built on the HPA website. More recently, we've also launched a very small volume of PDN, Thoroughbred Daily News, and they've hit it out of the park. This has generated terrific results. That Dr. Hogan horse and safety video was embedded in their Friday afternoon long-form feature piece, and they also pushed it out through their various social media platforms. In 2 weeks, that video was played over 50,000 times. So a video with Dr. Hogan talking about horse health, horse safety here in Pennsylvania was played just through TVN over 50,000 times. On the TVN Facebook page alone was shared nearly 700 times. The nice thing, the really nice thing, is that TVN is widely read by people in the industry and the general public. So at a time when this message about Pennsylvania is more important than ever, it's also being widely distributed now through TVN. I always advise writers against reading comments on the internet. It's just a no-win. But in this case, I am going to make an exception. Not all of these, obviously, but most of the comments on TVN social media in response to that Dr. Hogan video say things like, "Thanks for this. So true. This is exactly what the industry should be saying." Great video showing how someone in the industry is sharing the full picture of the love we have for these horses. This is so true. We need more of this. And my favorite one, I made a very concerted effort to stay apolitical, but I laughed out loud at this. It said, "Vote for Patty Hogan 2020. We've just put together another brief video with Dr. Hogan talking about aftercare in general and about the HPA New Start program in particular. This will go out in the next couple of days on our social media platforms and on the HPA site. So I'd like to play that for you now. Let's begin with 3.
One thing about racing is it's just one career path that a thoroughbred racehorse is going to take in his life. There's more to their life than just racing. That's just one part of it. There's a tremendous aftercare aspect that goes on in racing that I don't think the public is really aware of. That there are organized and well-funded steps in place for these horses when they're done racing to go on and do something else. The aftercare issue is a big concern of most everyone in the racing industry these days. It's been something that's been in the works for the last 15, 20 years actually, as far as my involvement. People in the racing industry care about these horses and their life after racing. There's a tremendous potential for horses after they finish their racing career to transition into other careers. People might be very surprised to hear that in Pennsylvania there's a multitude of programs at many of the tracks that are well-funded, including the New Start program put in place by the HPA, transitioned many racehorses from the Penn National area, from the racing world into the riding or pleasure horse worlds. A multitude of careers these horses take, whether it be dressage, jumping, rodeo, you name it. The thoroughbred is a versatile animal and can do most anything.
In association with Keystone Films, this has been a production of the Pennsylvania HBPA.
Thank you, folks, very kindly, and obviously we'll be having taking questions about that.
Can I ask you, you said the turf clubs did not, the ownership clubs did not work. You have an idea of why?
Not really, it was lack of interest. We only had one individual that actually reached out. I don't know if it's the $500. I mean, we've had an after Churchill, Sal, and their charge was $500. We've discussed potentially taking another run at it with maybe a lower amount. Obviously, each year the marketing promotion dollars, like moving forward for this year, for the new fiscal year, we don't know what that was, but last year it was substantially less than the year previous. But we considered that and have yet to make a decision whether we're going to take another run at it. But it was kind of disheartening to throw everything up. We did social media, we did website, and we had one individual that expressed interest.
I only asked the question because it's been mentioned as an alternative way to generate interest. seems to work somewhat in Churchill. I'm just wondering if it's a difference in the demographics of the interest.
I think it's an interesting difference in the demographics. I think the Kentucky public, maybe because of where they're from, Kentucky being more of a horse capital of the world, if you go by their slogan. Also, I think the fact that D. Wayne Lucas trained the horse and his Hall of Fame stature may have attracted others that we were unable to attract. I believe we have Hall of Fame trainers at Penn National, but they're yet to be inducted.
It's good, thank you. Thank you. Final comment? Great, thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Steve. Next up, Mr. Beagle, PHHA.
So I go to PHHA for 5 months, and one of the first things that Sam told me when I started was, get your feet wet, don't make waves right away, don't change too many things. And I feel pretty comfortable probably saying I can listen to Sam. And I think he's okay with that.
He would not be the first.
So one of the things that I started doing right away with our marketing grant dollars was increasing our industry storytelling, both through our social media and through video. And Tony, thank you for sending out that link to the video for everybody to see prior to the meeting. We are going to continue that going forward into the next fiscal year because our industry has stories to tell. Stories that are behind the scenes, stories that are on the track, off the track, stories that people don't know. And it really showcases the pride and the passion and the true love that everybody has for our industry, but the general public doesn't know about those things. So that's something that right away I started with on social, and we're moving into the video component for the upcoming year. Other big spends out of our grant were obviously King Harness Week. Bruce is amazing and produces and directs that for us. And we have great talent with Heather and Charla. They're able to get some of our great drivers and trainers on there. They showcase our economic impact through the videos that we have at PHRA did. That runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And it is local to the Philly market, but we do share it constantly on social media. We send it out. We're constantly trying to expand that range beyond just Philly. The other thing is event advertising and operations. A lot of the pictures you see here are from different events, both at Paris, Philadelphia, and the Downs. There's obviously derby parties, family fun days, night racing evenings, etc. Sun Stakes is coming up this Saturday. We have really tried to reach out to non-industry partners. One of the things I've learned in my time in Pennsylvania is that people care if you're connected into the community. And so one of the things we've done at both locations is try to reach out to community partnerships that will bring us new eyes. Both for the Derby Party and Sun Stakes at the Downs, we partnered with Discover Lupa, which is a local nonprofit, to really get in front of people who may not know what we do at the racetrack. And we did that through different promotions that they helped us with. I'll tell you the only negative for the state grant, it was a steep learning curve for me. And that's just a personal thing, being new. It was a steep learning curve. But I think that the grant program is fantastic because it does give us the ability to find new audiences and put our industry in front of eyes that may not typically see us and give us awareness. So, any questions? I know that was short and sweet.
Any questions? Thank you.
I got something to say while I'm here. It is short and sweet. This Saturday, June the 29th, the Downs of Williams will be hosting Sun Stakes Saturday featuring the Earl Ben Franklin free-for-all pace, the Max Memorial pace, all for $500,000, and the James Lynch Memorial Toy pace. Post time is 7 o'clock, and we welcome all of you to attend.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Next up is Brian, PHBA.
I'm Brian Sanfratello, Executive Secretary, Pennsylvania Horse Breeders Association, and I would like to thank you for always spelling my name correctly. If you go to the 56-page handout that I passed out to you,
This is the page.
Stu Kirschenbaum's with me. He does various marketing for our organization and has been doing a fantastic job for us. Basically, if you go to page 1, our approach has been to get armed with the grant money, has been to get our message out to the Mid-Atlantic region and also nationally. TVG is probably one of our biggest marketing areas. And you can see there what the money that we spent last year, fiscal year 18-19, from July to September and September to June. We are going to be renewing with TVG, and also the cost for the total cost for that is going down also. And we are also receiving more in the package. On page 3, it'll show you on Mondays we have 3 30-second commercials between noon and 3 p.m. on TVG, and then 3 on TVG2, and 2 15-second billboards. So I'd like to let you listen to the 30-second commercial we're running right now. You'll fork on.
On the world stage, thanks to Finest City, Unique Bella, and Shamrock Rose, PA joins Kentucky as the only state in the past decade to breed Eclipse Award champions 3 straight years. Add that to our unmatched incentives. Plus, our Racehorse Development Fund can only be used to support PA breeding and racing. Why breed anywhere else? This is Brian Sanfratello. Go to PABred.com and see why Pennsylvania is the premier place to breed and race.
Now, we switch those up every so often. And we also, so we have Monday and Saturday for those advertisements. A sample of the billboard ad is on page 4 at the top, and that also runs in addition to our 30-second commercials. Plus, we receive additional free bonus spots on the days listed there. They're most of the major race days in Pennsylvania and across the country. Over on page 5, you'll see that TVG also provides us with significant earned media opportunities throughout the year. In the first picture there, I'm at Presque Isle Downs with TVG talking about Pennsylvania, and down the bottom there, it was a radio interview with TVG. So again, we get that additional earned media through TVG. Over on the next page, page 6, basically our new agreement for 1920 adds additional placements, which boosts our minimum amount of weekly commercials from 10 to 12. One more value-added component to the agreement. If you take a look at the bottom of that page 6, our logo is going to start appearing there when they switch to odds from different races, and that should run approximately 50 to 75 times each Monday between noon and 9 p.m. Eastern. Our second most important area is Steve Vick at the races. Steve does a satellite radio show on Sirius XM, and is an important branding mechanism. And helps us really over and above what we really have asked him to do. The cost, you can see there from July to September is listed, September to June is listed. Just note that 1920 is down significantly, the fiscal year 1920 is down significantly from the previous year. Our PHBA ad is scheduled to air 3 times a day, but it often airs 5 or 6 times a day. It's helpful also that Steve is both an owner and a breeder who speaks the language, and I can go on anytime I want to just give him a call. He sets me up for that week. I've done quite a few spots with him, and he's great on promoting the big days, especially in Pennsylvania. I'd like to just play about a minute, 10-second spot on get into the radio so you don't have to.
Other than Kentucky, Pennsylvania has won Clips Awards in the past 2 years, Unique Bella, and the year before we had Finest City with the Billionaire Clips Award. To date, only 3 states have won more graded stakes than Pennsylvania. We won 10, New York has it by 1 with 11, Florida with 13, and of course Kentucky is on the on top. Quantity, our fall crop should be up about 15% this year, and that's because of what we offer. We've been offering year in, year out. 50% in maiden breeder awards, 40% in all others, 40% owner bonus, 400 plus restricted races, annually $2,100,000 stakes. I got to tell you, we have the best breeding program in America, and I don't know why anyone else would breed anywhere other than Pennsylvania.
So again, just good opportunities to spread the word. The third category of advertising is TDN. I know Stu mentioned a little bit about the TDN. We basically, the grant money has allowed us to take all of the ads throughout the year on page 2 of the TDN Daily, which is a great spot. They usually have what's their premier articles listed there. So you're going to see our ad every single day. An example of the 4 ads that are currently we're switching out right now are on page 8. It's great. It's a great opportunity for us also because we switch. We can switch them out like we just had a graded stakes winner, Monongahela. In fact, I'd asked Jen Neely to make sure she puts that out on social media because that is close to Pittsburgh. Again, we renewed for the total year, and that, as you can see, the cost has gone down also dramatically. You also asked us to say what didn't quite work or didn't work. On page 9, we had the Pennsylvania Derby promotion bonus. We were given a $250,000 bonus split between the owner and the breeder. 200 to the owner, 50,000 to the breeder of a horse that wins the Pennsylvania Derby. The cost that year for last year, 18-19, was $18,750. This is the 3rd year we offered that bonus. The total cost for all 3 years was $63,750. That's the last 3 years. We really haven't any PA bred or PA sire horse actually enter the race. Unless something happens this year, that's probably an area that we will let go for next year. The bottom of page 9, the annual planted thoroughbred report. Once a year, we take our online version, the thoroughbred report, and we print it. And then we send it to through Blood Horse to all the Mid-Atlantic states, also Kentucky, Florida, and Ontario, Canada. The cost for that was $8,195. even though we feel that it's getting the Pennsylvania message out, I don't think that we're going to be able to do that because of, we're looking at approximately the same amount of money in grant money this year. So we felt it would be, some of that money would be better utilized by concentrating on increased digital advertising, such as geofencing and online videos. We did start with the geofencing. It wasn't from grant money, but we did try the Bassett-Tipton 2-year-old in training sale in Maryland, and it worked. It worked well. Let's just take a second here and just let me know how that goes.
Student short, please.
Essentially, we work with Bassett-Tipton to create a page. When we click on the ad, we just take a page and see all the paid residents.
Okay, so the three main thrusts of our advertising next year for the grant would be TVG, Big Show, and PTHA. Any questions?
Thanks, Brian. Thanks. Any questions from the commission?
I know we're running, but I want to clarify something. You keep using the word here that I guess concerns me. You use the word grant. And it is allocated by this commission. But it's really their money that we're giving back to them. And I just want to make it clear that this is not the state income tax money. This is money that the horsemen agreed to put up 1% of the money that they would get in slots. And they're basically, this commission appropriately is looking at that and reallocating it to the statewide or the local groups. And I'm just afraid that this word grant sounds like something that should be audited, or we've been through this before. I just want to make clear, in my opinion, this is not a grant, it's an allocation of your own money back to you in a structured pattern so that you utilize it properly and report back how you utilize it.
Yeah, you can call it what you want. At the end of the day, though, there's a level of accountability with money, right? I mean, so however, it's termed a grant for purposes of dollars that get allocated by the commission now through this marketing committee. But I think what we're trying to say is, in this process, is the level of accountability, right?
I'm just speaking of the source of where the money came from.
Okay. Mike, Standardbred Racing Association.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. I'm Mike Simpson with the Standardbred Breeders Organization of Pennsylvania. My goal is to make this the shortest presentation today. As for allocation of funds and the main focus of the program spending, I don't think we can specify one main focus of our spending. We use a combination of promotional giveaways, social media, earned media, digital advertising, along with traditional print and television advertising. Probably our biggest campaign was the It Pays to Breed in PA campaign, and we focused on the Breeders' Awards. We worked with the USDA to do that. That was print, digital, social media, and also the Diamond Creek Open House. We also worked with Keystone Films, like many of the other groups did. That was primarily social media, but then we also got some great deals on TV advertising, and I'll talk a little bit more about the details of that later. The Horseman Publishing Company also helped us publish a PA scoreboard. I showed that graphic last time, and it features PA siren winners every month. So that's very popular. That goes out to print and digital areas as well. Harness Horse Youth Foundation, we also sponsored their summer and fall programs, so our name was at all the events they went to. And then the other large expense we had was with Sabre, the hospitality group here in this building, at the annual horse sale. One of the things we did is we gave away pens. So everybody has a pen here, and anybody from the audience is welcome to come up and grab them. We have some more. They write very nice. They have a very nice weight to them, too. We're really pleased with these pens. All right, so I think I'll move on to a couple of the videos that we have had Stu, Keystone Films, create. One was an evergreen video, general for just PA breeding that we can use over and over again. The other one was specific to the breeder's ground, so we can just play those both in a row if you want. We can do 6 and then 7.
Horse racing and breeding industries are vitally important to Pennsylvania. The Standardbred Breeders Association of Pennsylvania proudly represents breeders located in every corner of the Commonwealth. These farms preserve green space, they provide thousands of jobs and significant economic impact, and are also home to the next generation of Standardbred champions. For more, please visit us online at standardbredbreederspa.org. The Standardbred Breeders Association of Pennsylvania is a proud sponsor of this year's Breeders' Crown at Mohegan Sun at Pocono Downs, Saturday, October 27th. A night with $6 million in purses will include racing's biggest stars. Among them, the first $2 million earners of 2018, Mick Wickett, who just paced the second fastest mile in harness racing history, and 2017 Breeders' Crown winner, Crystal Fashion, both sired and bred in Pennsylvania. For more, go to Hamiltonian.com.
All right, moving on to the successes and missteps. Stu emailed me last fall, and we had a fantastic deal on TV advertising. We decided to go with it. And it cost quite a bit of money, so we had to radically cut back on social media. That was a monthly management fee that we had. So that's something that we don't regret, but we definitely feel like one of the big successes is the social media was picking up steam at that point on Facebook and Twitter, but because of the TV advertising and the expenses, we had to dial it back. So that was something that we don't want to do this year. We understand that continuity with social media is key, so that's something that we're committing to. Obviously, like everybody else, we have less money this year, but we're going to stick with that social media. But the TV advertising was seen over 500,000 times, so we feel like it definitely was worth doing that. The other issue that we had was with Sabre here at the sale. The first day, they were a little bit disorganized, and some of our consigners were receiving the food that was part of the promotion like hours later than they expected. But Sabre responded quickly. In the next couple of days, everything was on time, so that was the only issue that we had with that. And as I said before, the primary goals for next year, we want to come back strong with the social media and really commit to sustaining and increasing engagement there, because it's such a good value. Any questions? All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
And the last group is the Pennsylvania Horse Racing Association, Pete Peterson, Ashley Pavone, and Senator.
Ashley Eisenhill, Director of the Pennsylvania Horse Racing Association for Marketing. Gabrielle DiMarco, Associate Director of Development.
Pete Peterson, President, Pennsylvania Horse Racing Association.
Greg Carney, Communications Director, Bologna.
And Zach Gibson, Brand Manager at Bologna.
Thank you so much for having us. First, I'm going to follow up because Mike did not mention Mr. Simpson with the Standardbred Breeders. We partnered with them to create some wager warriors at the harness tracks this summer. So I'm probably not going to be a part of that presentation. I just wanted to give it a shout out because we're very proud of it. And we just started it this past weekend, and Shades was out there with one of our wager warriors giving out vouchers, like explaining to people how to bet, giving them tips. We had a lady who took our $2 bet, and she hit a $76 trifecta, and it was her first bet she ever made, so she closed. So we did our good job. They wear really bright orange shirts. They say Wager Warriors. So keep an eye out for that. We're pushing it a lot on social, and as of right now, we're only doing it at harness tracks, but we do plan to bring it to Thoroughbred. Again, this was a collaboration between us and the Breeders Association to be able to pay for these guys to go out there and do this. Before I let them get into the packets really quickly, I just want to say you won't see in there our efforts with our booth and being at events. This year we were at the farm show. We went to the World Horse Expo and had our booth for the week. We also take the booth to all the big racetracks for their big races and just also racetracks that were like available that weekend, or I don't have anything going on, we might sneak out and make sure we are there. Handing out things, doing the prize wheel, we're gonna do the Yeti Cooler sweepstakes again. And also last year we attended EquestriaCon, which is a thoroughbred convention. We do not have a date or a location for this year's EquestriaCon, so it's still up on the air if we would be present there, but we did go with the thoroughbred breeders last year and was able to advertise and promote our marketing efforts within the industry. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let Yvonne start.
Perfect. Thank you everyone for the time today. So you have a pretty big deck in front of you, but we're not going to go through all of it today. A lot of it is actually backup data in an appendix that we're not going to review today, but if there's any questions about that at a later date, we're happy to answer any of those. So really our role with PHRA is to create a cohesive branding campaign throughout the state that's comprised of social media, a new website, PR, digital campaigns, paid advertising, all of that. And the culmination of that is to look for new fans and seats, as well as an uptick in handle. So that's what we're going to review today, show you kind of that year wrap. When we came and talked about the website a little bit ago, when we launched the website, we've gotten a lot of traction since that time. And that's really when our paid efforts ramped up here at the beginning of this year. So we're going to go through all those results and happy to answer any questions after.
So flipping ahead to page 4 in the packet, going over social media first, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We launched all those platforms in 2018. Our paid efforts, as Zach said, started in 2019 with the launch of the website. That all coincided. We've seen some really great growth throughout all the platforms. We've used those platforms to support the various organizations, to support the breeders, support the tracks, as well as to educate the public. With the addition of shades, we're looking for some really, really great content, how-to videos, that behind the scenes videos, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things coming in the future for the social platforms. We've had fantastic engagement rates, video completions, video content led the charge for our social channels, which is exactly what we want. We want those engagement in the content, not necessarily the likes on the page, but for people to actually complete those video views and to watch those down. So really great performance on all those channels. You can see the totals there.
Next, we're going to go through the website, which is, again, approximately about 10% of the budget that we spent this year. If you want to go to slide 6, I'll kind of do a quick wrap on everything. Overall, from kind of a top-line data perspective, again, 31,000 sessions, approximately 1.5 pages per view. Again, if you're coming into the homepage, you go to another page, that's 2. If you're going to the homepage and then leaving, you got all the information you needed, that's going to be 1. So again, you're looking at people that are coming in multiple times, looking at multiple pages. When you look at the top pages overall, again, homepage, the events page, and the learn page. A lot of our traffic was driven via kind of the digital marketing efforts directed at the homepage. Again, we wanted them to get a cumulative understanding of what PHRA offered, talk about the tracks, showcase the learn, so that people can educate themselves on the sport and how to engage with it. And then the retargeting and social efforts drove to the events pages. So specific events, whether they be around, say the Adios or PA Derby, the Triple Crown events, things like that. And then finally the learn pages, which we didn't drive directly to from any of the individual visual content pages, because we expected people to kind of self-guide themselves to that area to learn more about the sport. So the fact that, again, that was a top 3 page without any driving any direct traffic to it kind of tells the story. The next thing that we'll kind of get into is the website enhancements, so things that we've updated since the initial launch. Spanish language toggle, allowing for Spanish-speaking audience to consume the content. The poll cam, which when you see the spike on that slide 6 in February, that was around the live feed and kind of the culmination of social PR efforts. Resume upload, so allowing for industry jobs to be available and people to apply through it. We're working on a
track amenity offerings, which allow both the tracks to get additional services and us to push whatever additional services are at tracks to individuals. So when we start talking about events, people will get a better sense of what's actually going on and what they have to see rather than a PDF of schedule. And then one of the things that I give a shout out to kind of the PHRA team is the amount of ongoing news articles and industry stories. This is a car. If you don't give gas to the car, it's just a car. So being able to actually run it in a way that fuels what's going on, keeps it interesting, keeps it kind of fresh for the audience, those kind of things, highlighting what's going on with the other associations, that is how this is going to work. That's how we're going to drive from the PHRA down to each of the individual elements that make it up. Going into any questions on the website before we go into paid social. So with paid social, again, this would be kind of the reaching out of the audience, doing into multi-level campaigns, really focused on 3 major areas: driving traffic to the website, so we provide utility, show people what we have available to them; brand awareness, how do we get people to understand horse racing, what it has, and the timeliness of it around certain events; and then engagement campaign, giving people track-specific creative, especially around key racing seasons, i.e. the Triple Crown events all the way through the end of June. And a lot of the back half of these campaigns are still all running right now. That's why there aren't direct results, so everything is up to the 16th of this month. Basic performance that we really want to highlight, again, we bolted a lot of things to focus on, but really we focus on 3 major KPIs, basically impressions and or reach, so reaching the most amount of people that are within our target audience, which is not only kind of a circumference around each track, but also applicable age groups. Engagement rates. Do they actually care about the content? Is this fun stopping? Because everything that you're competing against, whether that be a cat video or your favorite Major League Baseball team, we have to compete with that content. So getting something like a 13% engagement rate when benchmarks are in the point percentages is huge. Like, I can't kind of discount that enough. Anything that you get above 1% is seen as, kind of way above benchmark. 13% is largely unheard of. And then video views are the large way of getting that stuff done. People want to see something that's engaging. We use GIFs, we use short form video, we use kind of anything less than basically 15 seconds. That's what people are going to consume in order to understand what's going on. Once you take them from there and then drive them to a website to watch a more long form video, that's ideal, rather than trying to force someone to watch 2 minutes on social channel.
And I'll just add real quickly, with all of those assets, we were able to build them very smartly and kind of template them out so that we were able to reuse assets that were given to us by individual tracks, individual organizations. So we weren't necessarily creating new each time, but we were able to update so they look fresh and they look new. So we were able to really efficiently use and create those assets.
And you can see some of those assets on the next section, slide 13, everything from ESPN to 9th Decimal to in-market. Just for kind of context sake, 9th Decimal is videos on your smartphone. It doesn't exist on desktop devices, and we utilize the tracking of individuals that have been to the casinos and or the tracks as the mechanism of saying, hey, this person has gone in or is interested in going. We use things like ESPN and some other resources to reach out further into the audience for sports fans, similar to what Jen and other organizations have talked about earlier today. And then finally, the market, which is one of the tools that we started to really start to test out as we got into late spring of other sporting events and or off track. So everything from the Preakness, the Belmont, having things at the Kentucky Derby racing parties in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and other major cities, as well as starting to test that, for really learnings for year 2, when we start to look at stadiums and other kind of sporting events, or again, once you come in, you're either served that creative right then, or we use that as retargeting for later down the road. Again, from the digital performance statistics perspective, again, high level click-through rates, getting people to actually engage with content. The The in-market moments, again, start to drive some of that heavy click-through rate of being relevant to the location that you're in. And then just, again, sheer impression loads and clicks with kind of more programmatic extensions. In-market I already talked about. Final, from a digital video perspective, anytime that we can make the context of our material more relevant, and this is some of the things we're going to look at for year 2 in terms of off-track betting. Let's make sure that we're geofencing those locations. Anything that we find to be very relevant, whether that be casinos that we don't own or occupy, again, we can still target those individuals and try to get them to casinos. So again, the more relevant the location, the better you're going to see the performance.
All right, then last but not least, public relations. If you flip to page 18 here, we have some of our notable hits. First and foremost is the website. So not only did we want to have paid advertising driving that, we wanted some earned media as well. You can see regionally we got some coverage as well as some industry coverage. As Greg talked about, the birth of the American Pharaoh poll was huge for us. The culmination of our efforts saw a huge spike in website traffic. We actually had 2 different angles for that pitch. One, just the webcam itself, because it was evergreen for a while and you could see other polls being born. And then the birth coverage itself, because it was big news for PA to have that happen here. Another great one was Derby planning. We took the angle of all the party preparation behind the Derby. We know that it's just not the horse race, it's the fashion, it's the hats, it's the ninja looks. So you might have seen us on WPHL 17 or Good Day PA. Actually did great on that, kind of showing what to do to prepare and have a great time at the Derby party. And then that went hand in hand with some of our in-market efforts. We targeted watch parties that we knew were that were happening in the Philadelphia area, and kind of leaned into that a little bit more with the PR coverage we had. Day at the track, we're still actively pitching this. This is just an angle of behind the scenes of the track, what it takes to operate a track, not just about horse racing, but the trainers and the drivers and the jockeys and all that goes into making racing a great sport. That's fun for the whole family. And the latest was a higher release. You heard us talking about Shades. He's actually back in the audience. Shout out to Shades. But he's on board now as the digital media and creative director. So we're going to be working in unison to bolster our social media efforts this year. And a big part of that will be making more video content just based on the results seen in this deck and making a PHRA.TV YouTube subscription channel. So that's all we have for you guys. Any questions for us?
Commissioners, any questions?
So I'll just ask, I mean, the coordination between, you've heard the other presentations and tracks and efforts and focus and what works, what doesn't. So the interplay between sort of what you do and the other stakeholders here, how does that work? To what level is there coordination? Is there discussions about social media, media buys, focus of the moment based on special events, et cetera?
So we work mostly I work with the tracks, and then I also work with Pavone and kind of in that bridge between the 2 entities. And they get to approve and look at the artwork for each of our billboards, all the social that they're doing, so they're very aware of what we're putting out. Also willing to share it. They're very excited about our events page. All the tracks do contact me and give me the information when they're having special events, so I can upload that onto our website. And then I usually do a push for social media 3 days prior to every event on Facebook and Twitter, just letting everybody know where those events are happening. The tracks know it's in their best interest to let me know, because I will push it and promote it and tag them in it. So it's a lot of collaborating and a lot of updating, but so far everything's going really well with working with the tracks. They also love having our booth come out. We do giveaways, we're very interactive with the fans, doing trivia. So I just contact them, and they also let me know what dates they think the booth would do really well at. So.
And just follow up on that, each of the associations we have a marketing committee as well. So we have a marketing advisory committee as well as our board. So each of the associations has a member of that committee. So we meet on a monthly basis typically at this point. So everyone has input on what is going forward. They approve the plans going forward. And at the same time, we work to try to find, areas where we can work together. Ashley mentioned earlier the League of Warriors, for example with the Standardbred Breeders. We're also involved supporting the Charity Driver Challenge at and it's Murray Jones Day this summer, so we do work pretty closely with each of the associations.
Yes, and just to add to that, we also made available to tracks who wanted to join in track collateral, so table tents, coasters, umbrellas, posters.
Large umbrellas for the picnic tables
Very, very
with our
large
branding,
umbrellas.
their branding on it.
Yeah, so we've had several tracks take that up on us. These pieces are printed delivered, so it's been good.
Thank
I
you.
have 5,000 posters in my car, if anybody wants some posters.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the presentation.
Thank you.
Can I make one
Sorry,
comment?
Jeff.
When this started a couple years ago, it sounded like a good idea, and I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I got to tell you personally, I'm very impressed by how creative they have been about how to use this money. This not doing the same thing, buying a radio ad or buying a TV ad and saying, well, we're spending money. I'm really impressed with not only your organization, but all the organizations and how creative and thinking outside the box they've been in doing this. I really think it's shown real sincere interest in using this money properly, not just spending it. I'm really impressed by that.
Thank you.
Chairman, I just have one comment
Yeah,
to
Kim.
add to that in relation to your question on how they work with the tracks. We had an event this weekend, the Driver Challenge, Charity Challenge, and it was put forth, the idea by one of my people, but when Ashley and Pete heard about it, they worked with Pavone, and we've had great play on social media, so we're working very much together with our group, with their group, so it's a great relationship.
Just to echo, I think the level of creativity, finding ways to get to that, 20 to 35-year-old person, right? I mean, I forget the age range you laid out before, but that gets you in that, in the Kidney Control Board report, the annual status. I mean, I look at the numbers all the time, right? You've got to find a way to connect, wherever, however, how do you leverage the brands and the value they give us? So I think that's spot on in terms of how do we do that in social media connections. And, you reference sort of these additional relationships and leveraging. I think that's critical. So thank you.
This is just year one, so after year two, we're building on what we've already established. Year one was just kind of laying the foundation. So year two, we'll be ramping up and see even better results.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you again. To all the groups, we appreciate your time and effort in presenting the case. Thank you. Next up is for the commission, HBPA, Todd Masta with an O. He would like you to take a look in your binders under tab 4 is the current regulation, a couple of entries.
Now we have David O. and Todd.
Let's discuss 163.9. Currently in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, same owner entries are required to be coupled. Things have changed dramatically over the last 15, 20 years, mainly the size of the foal crop and the number of horses that we have to participate in races. And we have a scenario whereby which a owner has multiple horses on the backside of the racetrack, he has multiple trainers, obviously he has multiple $10,000 claimers, and he goes to enter into a race, and our current regulation requires those horses to be coupled for betting purposes. The majority of the jurisdictions around Pennsylvania have changed their rules. They allow same owner entries to be uncoupled. And I would petition the commission to follow and take the same action that those other jurisdictions have taken. The funny thing is, in a lot of those jurisdictions, and even in this jurisdiction, at Parks last year, there was an issue with this, where there was common ownership, the horses were not coupled. In the other jurisdictions, they run uncoupled, and those are in our biggest events. They're $500,000 races, $1 million races. If we allow them to run uncoupled in those types of events, why would we not allow them to run uncoupled in a $5,000 claiming race? So I'm asking the commission to consider changing that would allow same owner entries to be uncoupled for wagering purposes. Instead of a 1 and a 1A, it would be whatever the horse drew. That would be a program number assigned to that horse.
Todd, you mentioned some of our adjacent states. Which ones and what are they doing, like Maryland, New Jersey?
Maryland allows them to run uncoupled. Now, when I say same owner entries, they're usually different trainers, which is a big distinction. The ones that have the same trainers, they'll be coupled. But in the event you have Joe Smith, has trained by Russell Redding, has a horse and trained by Dr. Corinne Sweeney, you as two separate trainers, you're going to try to win the race, you're going to try to win the race. The fact that you have one owner that owns both horses.
So Maryland, what about Jersey, Delaware?
Maryland, Delaware, I'm not sure, I have a tough time getting a hold of the PHA in Jersey. But I also believe because in the Haskell, we had a situation last year that there was uncoupled entry for that, with the Haskell.
Because it has been this way since, I won't say the beginning of time, but for a long time, and it's worked for a number of years.
I think it's debatable whether it's worked or it hasn't worked. It's
Yes,
just been a situation where the full crop and the number of horses available to race in the Mid-Atlantic, we compete with a number of other racetracks in the Mid-Atlantic for horses, and I'm not going to say it has worked or it hasn't worked, but I think the dynamics have changed whereby which the best decision to make for racing in Pennsylvania is to follow the actions of the other jurisdictions that surround us. It gives us another betting interest in the race, which helps substantially from an economic standpoint, pari-mutually wagering standpoint.
So Todd, to be clear, you said that it's the same owner, same trainer, that is coupled.
You can couple those, or you can leave them uncoupled. But the majority of the situation, what I'm proposing is if you have same owner, different trainer, allow the horses to run uncoupled.
And in the case you have same owner, same trainer?
That's up to discretion of the commission. That doesn't happen nearly as often as.
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation is that we allow them to run uncoupled.
Todd, historically, what is it that this rule was trying to prevent?
Integrity, correct?
I think the original intent of the rule was if I have two horses in a race, that I could use one horse to wipe out half the field and give my other horse an advantage. In today's world with high definition video, the fines in the case of the stewards, I don't see a situation where somebody is going to deliberately hijack a race. And we haven't seen it in the instances where they run uncoupled. In the Kentucky Derby every year, Todd Fletcher has 3 or 4 horses, and a lot of times they have common ownership. And it's our biggest race in the country, and we allow those horses to run uncoupled. There hasn't been any issues prior to this year that I'm aware of, but it was unrelated. The situation that occurred today in this year's Kentucky Derby had nothing to do with coupled or uncoupled entries. It was.
Todd,
Yes, sir.
let me give you a little historic perspective. Does everybody remember a racing writer in Philadelphia called Russ Harris?
Do not.
Well, he was the main guy that wrote on racing for the Philadelphia papers. And his main point in those days was how you had to couple the entries, because if you didn't, all kind of corruption was going to break out. And I know that's history, but I think that he had a lot to do with when we changed from uncoupled to coupled.
And when did you write this?
I would say in the 60s and 70s.
A lot of things have changed since the 60s and 70s.
I'm not suggesting something other than that's what the historical perspective was.
And I think that was the mindset then. I think if you look what's happened in the other jurisdictions in those races where they run uncoupled entries, I don't think anybody has seen collusion in any way or an attempt to hijack a race, as we would say. But I guess that's up to interpretation, Commissioner.
Anything else for Todd? Because later in the program here, you'll have an opportunity to decide if you choose to or not choose to. This part is simply for Todd's presentation. Under administrative action, you have an opportunity to make a couple decisions. Any other questions for Todd? Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, several motions, administrative actions. Tom?
Respectfully request on number 5, which is a motion to approve simulcast calendars for the standardbred tracks. I'd like a motion to approve simulcast calendars for Harris, Mohegan Sun, and the Meadows.
Motion by Dr. Egloff and Mr. Brennheiser on the second. Discussion of this motion, please. Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
The next motion, number 6, motion to approve simulcast calendars for July for Parks and National and Prescott. Respectfully request a motion.
Thank you. We have a motion for number 6. Commissioner Ryder's on the motion. Do we have a second? Dr. Egloff on the second. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
On number 7, which relates to Mr. Settler's request, it is a request, George, you want to paraphrase this, what the motion is, or what the request is?
The request is to approve the modification of existing regulation 58 PA Code 163.95 relating to coupled entries. We have several options. One is to table it until we can further review the language, get the language specifically how you want to draft it. You can approve it, vote on it, and have direct the Bureau Director to work with staff to approve it in an interim phase, and then you can ratify it next month, or make the decision right now. You do have those options, but part of it is to figure exactly what is the language you want to use. And since we don't have a specific order in front of you, you might want to contemplate that.
I have a question, Mr. Council.
Sure.
I think it would be nice to, I don't know if the word is table it, but at least it's been introduced, a little unsure, not sure which states. I'm quickly Googling and finding out what's going on with other adjacent states, and there seems to be some nuances, some change, some of this way, that way. So at least not ultimately maybe support this request, but have a little time to know what we're supporting.
Right.
So is this a, yeah.
Well, right now, obviously the commission, if it wants to do this on the thoroughbred side, it could equally do this on the harness side. There is no such petition on the harness side, but if you're trying to look for consistency, that's entirely up to this commission. My recommendation is to table it for just a month, or at least review it, get some analysis, and then provide the information to the commission.
Wait a minute. We got another question here.
I have a question.
Sorry.
Right now, if I had one of them enter, if we go with no couple of entries, you could have 4 horses in the race. Same trainer, same owner, theoretically.
Hey, Todd.
Is that correct?
Excuse the microphone.
Theoretically. It happens in the standard race. Because I had a case a few years ago where Michael Dickinson, who's a well-known thoroughbred trainer, had 4 horses he wanted to run. He could only run 2, so he got in trouble because he had somebody else put the other 2 in. And I was asked to help him with that case. So he had 4 horses in the race, but 2 under his name and 2 under somebody else's name. I'm just worried that if you have 7 horses and 4 of them are all by the same trainer, it's going to be a real nightmare in terms of integrity. It may not be, but I'm just saying in terms of the public's perception. So I think we should understand whether there's a limit on the number of horses the same owner or trainer or the same owner can have in a race. I think we should look at that as well as what the other jurisdictions do. I think we should.
Eric, as an ex-racing secretary, I do believe there is also a rule that says a trainer can't enter more than 2 horses.
That's what I'm trying to figure.
It says
So-
horses owned wholly or in part by the same trainer, person, or spouse shall be coupled. So when you're talking about the trainers, you're talking about coupling. What Todd, you're asking for is when we're talking about ownership. The key point is to make sure that the betting public understands exactly who owns and who's racing and who's entering that horse. So if there's sufficient transparency, I think the rule could probably be modified, assuming we get the right language. But my recommendation is to put it off for at least a month, get some more data, get some information, work with Todd to specifically get that language. If harness wants to jump in, obviously there's a harness side component to this, or not.
So is it the question?
Well, it's interesting, as I returned to my seat, Sam indicated to me that they have currently run them uncoupled at the Meadows. So apparently it's been going on at the Meadows and hasn't been an issue whatsoever, but not to throw Sam under the bus, but he indicated to me that they were doing it at the Meadows. So
Yeah, maybe Kim set up in his seat, so
But
now he comes forward.
I don't know if that's factual or not.
I believe those are
I really
specific
didn't want to be
races.
a part of it, because we have it the way we would like it.
Yeah, right.
Because there is no conflict.
Right.
The money that they're racing for nowadays, drivers, jockeys, whoever it is, will run over each other to try to get their win. The integrity level of which Commissioner Jones speaks is out the window. Those days are over with. Everybody's trying to win at all costs. I mean, when I say run over each other, I'm exaggerating.
Not really.
It helps to create fuller fields, does not hurt integrity, and it's been proven at the Meadows because we use trainer entries as well as owner entry, uncoupled. So if a race doesn't fill with a full field, the race secretary, with the permission of the commission, can race a race with an uncoupled trainer entry as well. But that's not what Todd's asking.
Right, that's the key. With the permission of the commission, the racing secretary can ask for an exemption on that side. That's not what we're talking about here, but I think those are the kind of issues that it'd be prudent at least to consider it, review it, and then take action.
Do you need a request or a motion? Can I just suggest that we let staff, because it's pretty obvious there's a lot of support for it, lots of other states do it. Let's just iron out the details, make sure we know what we're talking about, and go forth rather than having this extended discussion at this point.
You can have a motion to table it until next month
And request staff, yeah. I make a motion that we table it right now and then have staff prepare this proposal.
I second. I'm not a thoroughbred guy on his behalf. It sounds to me like he could ask for an exception for his particular track based on somebody else's comment here, correct?
No.
Yeah, I don't think an
Thoroughbred
exception.
doesn't have that particular rule. Only Standardbred has that exception.
Nor would we want one. I think it's important that we get it right, and I have no issue. We've been doing it what I deem to be the wrong way for a long time. Another month is certainly not going to be an issue, because one of the things that I neglected to say also was I think it needs to be elective from the standpoint of a trainer. If I have a trainer and I want to make the choice to couple those, sometimes they make that a decision, but I can declare that at the time of entry that I wanted those horses coupled, because what will happen is a trainer will enter two, maybe one is questionable, what he's going to do with it, and then he'll scratch, and then he doesn't get a penalty. So it's at the discretion of the trainer when he enters. So those are things that I think tabling it for a month would be beneficial to get it right, because I think we need to get it right the first time.
Might I also ask that if in fact we're going to do this, I think it would be helpful if you take a look at the rule, put in the language that you want, send it to Tom and me, and we'll take a look at it and see how it plays out from the language perspective. I'll look at the our side rule to see what our side does as well, and see if we have compatibility there.
But I still would like to know while they're here, quickly, what does Penn National and Parks do about more than 2 entries? Because that's going to be background.
You mean from the same trainer?
We can have staff provide us all that.
You can't enter more than 2 horses at the same, one trainer cannot enter more than 2 unless it's a state.
That is correct.
David, the same thing?
Right now, same owner entries, they have to be coupled.
That's what we're going to change.
There's 2 entries per surface, so the dirt race, you're only allowed to put 2 horses in as a trainer. As on the dirt race, you're allowed to put 2 on the dirt, 2 on the dirt. Trainer has the option of coupling, like Papa said, coupling their horses.
So, that motion. the staff done the work and coming back in July. You need a second to that. Commissioner Ellis on the second. Any further discussion, questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion to table, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the same sign. Those opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries. Thanks.
The next issue is out of competition testing. Since the last meeting, the bureaus conducted 124 out of competition tests. On the thoroughbred side, there were 72. On the standardbred side, 52. Parks, there was 21. Penn National, 28. Presque Isle, 23. Poconos, 18. And the Meadows, 34. Next item on the agenda is the work group update. As you remember, in the last commission meeting, the commission formulated a working group. The working group consisted of 3 commissioners, Dr. Egloff, Russell Jones, and Dr. Sweeney. All the horsemen's groups were represented. All the breeders' groups were represented. Mark Lowy represented the harness tracks. Joe Wilson represented the thoroughbred tracks. Dr. Silverman and Dr. Riley were commission vets, and Dr. Langlois was representing the waivers and betters. We had our first meeting on Thursday. We laid out the ground rules on how it would operate. Quite clearly, this is a working group that's going to make recommendations to this commission. It's an action group. The commission or the working group has no authority to implement anything. They're going to work in conjunction with the commission. First meeting basically laid out the groundwork and how we're going to operate, picked up some topics, what we're going to focus on, and on a monthly basis we're going to try to meet and we'll report back to the commission. Questions? On to the industry reports. Sam?
I give mine.
All right. Kim? Todd? Mike?
No report.
Mike? Brian? One thing I'd like to do is, Eric, you had 10 Mile Day. Would you like to give the commission a real brief update how it went?
Sure. It was great. Thank you.
You can say with that.
No, it was the second highest handle. The mixing of the match race series was certainly helpful. We had some great horses shipped in, but more so was representation of the trainers. We had, I believe, 5 Kentucky Derby trainers represented on the card. We had over 30 trainers that had won classic races for the Cup races, and I think there were 60-some winners of Breeders' Cup races represented. So the horsemanship that was there was just outstanding. The crowd was very enthusiastic and had a great time. Everything went very well, and we were very happy with it. In fact, set the second highest handle record on the day. It just all worked. One other thing that I did want to bring up, not necessarily, this is the chaplaincy, the racetrack chaplaincy at National. They are going to host, and this means probably a lot more to those that are Catholic in the crowd, but Bishop Peter, Robert Peter from Harrisburg Diocese is going to hold a mass service at the chaplaincy building on Wednesday, July 10th at 12 noon. Everybody's welcome. All denominations are welcome. I said, for the Catholics, this is a huge accomplishment. It's very rare that you get a bishop to show up for congregations, not a religious ceremony in the churches, but having to come out to the chaplaincy and do a mass there on the grounds at National Division. So, again, everybody's welcome, and doesn't necessarily, it's all things. Everybody's welcome.
Thank you. Congratulations. Last, we have one public comment. Dr. Langlois.
Good afternoon, and thank you again for allowing me to offer public comment. I just have 2 quick comments. One is to thank the commission for forming that working group. I think it'll be really important, as well as allowing the opinion of the public and the bettors to have a voice in that working group as well. As I think that will go a long way towards providing the input at least that they seek to have a seat at the table and be heard. The second comment I had is in regards to regulations. As certain regulations are looked at and potentially revamped, I would ask the commission to look at the feasibility of creating a regulation. This is probably more so on the thoroughbred side, that basically just states that if a horse at any point from its time in the paddock, going from the paddock, in the paddock, through warm-up and to the gate, behind the gate, flips in such a way that it falls on its side or on its back, it is deemed an immediate scratch by the stewards. This, I think, would go a long way towards helping a little bit of integrity and safety in the sport. So if the commission can potentially form a regulation like that, it would be appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you. There's nothing to it.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Further comments from the commission? Thoughts of the day? Okay. Our next meeting, July 30th. That date. Yes, they are. Okay. Good. Okay. Hearing none. Motion to adjourn. Everybody said yes. Okay.